Hallo. Hey.
Kijk, batterij.
Kan ik wat zachter praten?
Oké, nee, hier kun je ook het scherm zien. Dus, bigger.
Cool. Oké. Iedereen er klaar voor? Ik niet. Fuck man. Goedemorgen. Zo voelt het. Ik ben Mischa Peters. Ik werk bij Insights. De andere Mischa. De andere Mischa. Gisteren was er ook een. We hebben elkaar nog niet ontmoet. Is hij hier? Nee? Oké. Ik zou hier eigenlijk als Insights staan, als sponsor. Maar ik sta nu als een andere sponsor, OpenBSD Amsterdam. Maar Dimitri zei, doe maar toch dit praatje, want dat is vast leuker. Want dat ken ik nog niet, dus vandaar. Insights, we zijn een Israëlisch bedrijf. We zijn volledig buzzword compliant, want we zitten in de Cyber Threat Intelligence of Digital Risk Protection. En het hele idee wat ik met dit praatje wil doen is zo min mogelijk marketing. Als ik het toch doe, dan mag je me gewoon slaan, geen enkel probleem. Om een beetje uit te leggen wat er allemaal op het Darkweb te vinden is en waarom dat handig is om te weten. Dus wat jullie eigenlijk allemaal moeten weten over het Darkweb. Ja. Mag ook. English? Alright, I can do it in English. I prefer it. Easier, I don't have to translate it. Much better. Alright. So, do I need to do the introduction? Good. Fine. Alright. So. Te laat. Oh ja, too late. Anyway. So, I'm going to talk about the dark web and what you should know about the dark web. Because you cannot defend your business, your organization, whatever, if you don't know what threats are coming your way. That's the premise of this talk. And before we start, do people know what the difference is between the clear and the dark web? Everybody knows? Don't have to explain? Do it anyway? So what the market has defined as clear web is pretty much everything that you can get through by doing a search on Start Page or DuckDuckGo, not going to mention Google, where you can actually look at a source without any credentials, without any special protocols, and so on. So that's clear or service web. Then you have a huge portion that is deep. Everything that has credentials is already, let's say, considered deep. And then there's a part that's most interesting for us, at least as a company, which is the dark web, where you either need a special protocol and or credentials and or invitations and or whatever. So that's what I'm going to talk about. What's the dark web reputation? If you look at the media, it's bad and it needs to go away. People are not happy about it. It's increasing. All the bad stuff is bad. Even if you look at some Tor statistics, websites come and go, or dark web sites, websites come and go, and the whole idea behind it is it's criminal activity. In general, that's what people think. I've done this talk a couple of times, and every time it's always the same perception that people have. But what is at stake? Zensu, the cyber war Twitter feed, people follow that? No? Oh, it's actually pretty funny. Because they take the art of war and put a cyber sauce on it. So your adversary does not wait for you to finish patching. One. Another one, the enemy does not check your risk register prior to attacking. And the one that I like the most is this one. Management will not provide additional funding or additional budget based on ancient quotes on a PowerPoint presentation. So the reason why I'm saying this is that there's actually a lot at stake when you talk about cyber threat intelligence or specifically dark web or threat intelligence in general. Software exploits are being sold and being talked about. Data leakage, we've probably seen a lot in the last weeks even. Brand impersonation, customer phishing, cyber fraud, supply chain attacks, and I'm going to put some examples in there as well. But what do we know about the dark web? What can you get on the dark web? Give me some examples. Yes, yes. Thank you. Sorry? Yeah, as well. So now the interesting part is I've done this talk now a couple of times, and it's always drugs, weapons, or usually it's weapons, drugs, and of course also other things, submarines and tanks and all these things. But what's the primary reason why people are using the dark web? From an attacker perspective, it's anonymity. It's not only for attackers, there's other reasons why anonymity is a good idea. And to give you an idea how that works, I don't think I have to explain to a lot of people here how Tor works, but here it is in a couple of slides, or a couple of animations. Basically, your traffic is bounced between different entities that anonymize your traffic. So who runs a relay? Whoa. Who runs an exit node? Ooh. Usually it's zero, because people are scared. So in order for this to operate is that people like Breno and Sai need to run a relay node that actually bounces your traffic around so that you don't really know where the traffic is coming from. And then it doesn't really matter where you're then actually going, because the whole idea is that you can then pretty much pretend who you want to be. Some general, or who's that, Darth Vader, or it doesn't really matter. The whole idea is that you can pretty much interact anonymously with buyers, with sellers, with data, whatever is going on. So what people think is that it's a criminal activity hub, right? So that you can rent a hacker, or you can look for an insider, or you can look for some information. That's the general idea or the general perception that I see that people have. Even on a CIO or CISO level. I've done this talk once a long time ago for a bunch of CIOs, and I asked the same question, and there I started, who knows the dark web? And then a couple of hands went up. And how many people have been on the dark web? Maybe one hand went up. And do you know what's there? Zero. So there's a lot of people that just don't know, in the wrong position, what's really going on there. So the other thing, what is a good thing from hacktivists are there? So because it's anonymized, you can communicate in a way that's usually, if you're on the right source, not really traceable. So there are some good things with the dark web and Tor in general. And the same for journalists and sources and protecting sources. And if you're in a country where the regime is not so much in your favor, you can use this to actually get your message out. So there are some good things around the dark web as well. But besides the weapons and the drugs and the tanks, what else is there that is useful for you to know in order to protect your infrastructure, your environment, your customer, your company? from what has been talked about or being sold on the dark web. One that probably people can think of, okay, yeah, sure, credit cards is one thing that we find a lot for our customers. Being sold, being published, not only credit cards from financial institutions or banks or corporate credit cards, but what we also see is private credit cards from people that are being shared. Oh, hey, I found this credit card, here's the CVC, expiration, have fun. And people just share that on regular forums. So that's happening. Another thing that you can probably also think of is DDoS service. You can also find it on the clear web, even though there's been a crackdown lately where a lot of web stressors have been taken offline. But that's one service that is being provided, and it's not very expensive. So then your website just becomes service unavailable, for example. Another thing, accounts are being sold either from banks or credentials from large organizations. If you can think it, it's probably being traded or sold on the dark web. Also complete bank accounts with money already there that have been cleaned or whatever that is needed that you're then looking for. Of course, also documents that are being sold, shared, so other types of data leaks, email conversations, core documents. There's a lot of stuff that's there. Another thing that I found very interesting is also hacking tutorials. So that in this case, it's for free services on a flight, but we also see a lot of hacking tutorials against telecom operators to circumvent certain prepaid mechanism or prepaid security mechanisms, or how to dial out or call for free or use data for free. A lot of these type of services are there. The one that is probably one of the most that is happening against not only our customers, but customers of our customers is phishing. It's still a rampant problem, and in order to do proper phishing, you need a website that looks similar to what you're actually trying to do. So scam sites or phishing kits are readily available. You can just deploy, register a domain, referencing to Brenno's talk, but from a different angle, I guess. So if you want to attack instead of consume data and collect data, you can also do that. And what we're seeing here is that not specifically our customers are being attacked, but it's usually one of their partners, one of their vendors. Yes. Oh, him. Okay. Hello. Hello. Goedemorgen. So we see a lot that our customers of our customers are being targeted. So either invoice fraud or CEO fraud, where goods are ordered, delivered, never paid, or goods are ordered and then someone else hijacks that stream and say, well, payment needs to go there. These things happen on a regular basis. Also hiring insiders happens a lot. That's also how Ashley Madison got targeted. So people were just looking for an insider somewhere that was behind the right buttons and with the right credentials and the right authority within an organization. So that you see that on a very regular basis. Ashley Madison here. Hacker services are requested and offered. So there's a lot of different marketplaces that are there. So one thing that in order for us as an organization actually to get to all this data, there's a lot of research that we need to do in order to find that specific source. The nice thing is that if you're starting a new marketplace or a new forum, you still need to get the people that are interested in whatever you're trading or whatever you're selling. So there's some, let's say, marketing that needs to be done in order for the people that you want to sell data or goods through your platform. You have to get them to your platform. So that's also how we go after these sources. Now the tricky part with gaining access to these sources, sometimes you can just register like on a regular forum or a regular marketplace like eBay, for example. So then that works quite well. But in a lot of cases, you need to be introduced or you need to be vouched for that you're not law enforcement or an organization like ours that have a different intent with the data that we're collecting. So it's like a cat and mouse game. The other problem is that sources come and sources go. Morgen. So that also happens. The other week, what we've done is based on some human intelligence that we're also applying, is that we're acquiring certain assets. So we identified a threat actor on a different market or a specific marketplace that was claiming that he had credentials that were not publicized about yet. So we started the whole process to actually get him to trust us in order to share that data with us. There was an article in TechCrunch about it where he had 125 million accounts that were not seen before. And we managed, for some reason, I unfortunately don't know the details, we managed to get that from him, and we had validated that it came from the source. So it wasn't, well, I have these credentials, I put some other credentials in, and then I re-release it, which is what's happening a lot. Collection number 1, collection number 2 through 5. It's just a lot of database dumps that are being re-released all over again. But in this case, we were actually able to pinpoint a threat actor that has done the deed and had the goods that we were able to get from him. And based on that, we can then look for information that is there from our customers in order to notify them, say, hey, your credentials are now somewhere. So, and I'm always going way too fast, I notice. Because the whole idea is, of course, that with all that data that is on the dark web, that you can then protect your organization. Now, I mentioned that we need to do a lot of research, but what you can also do is just start typing away in some search engines and hit on dark websites. And then you get a nice list, and you get redirected to a page that even has a nice indexed page of the different marketplaces and their status, even if they're offline or online. So there's already a lot of information that you can gather in order to find what is there. Because the whole idea behind what I'm trying to relay is that there's a lot of information that can be useful to protect your organization and to fortify your infrastructure even more. And of course, you can start typing other things in there like dark web credit cards. And then you get another list of websites going, well, you can go there, here's the onion address, this the rating. So there's a lot of information that you can just get without actually going there. So, any questions? Yes?
You only talked now.
Oh, I can throw.
You only talked about the onion web now.
Yes.
I saw you had a little rabbit of what's his name again?
Freenet, I think.
Freenet.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything? I heard that Freenet was more secure in that it's harder to hack for a government to get the data about the users. What's your idea about that? So,
for us, that's as insights as an organization and the data that we deliver, it doesn't really matter. We're not interested in taking down a source. We're not interested really who's behind it or how much money they make. We're more interested in the actual data that is being sold and being offered. Then we can tell our customers, say, hey, someone is now has your account data or your customer information, and they're selling that. Are you aware? No, we did not. So that's more our interest. So we're not so much interested in the people behind it and their intent. It's more the fact that it's there. So the approach for us is a little bit easier to then go get access, be a good neighbor in that marketplace in order to find out who's there and what data is there. So that's the slightly different approach.
Yeah.
I just got a question from a colleague of mine saying, hey, because we're also on things like Telegram and WhatsApp, and he goes, yeah, but that whole communication is encrypted. Yeah, but if you're in the group, then doesn't really matter. So it's all for us to gain access, the idea to gain access to a specific source and then collect that data as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Where to? No questions. Nice. Don't. Hey! Sorry. Sorry.
Still working? Yes.
Yes.
Do you also check how serious the offers on that part of the dark web is? I can imagine that rent an insider is a good way to have negative consequences for your colleagues.
In what way?
If I said he's a colleague of mine and I would put his information
Oh, okay.
that he's the insider you can rent.
Sure.
Is that a valid option or is that outside your scope?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. No, so, but it depends then a little bit how that goes, right? Because someone can say, hey, I'm an insider, I have data to sell. And then you would probably not say, hey, I'm so-and-so, you can reach me on this number. That usually takes a little bit before you go, okay, can we trust each other? Yes. The same as if someone is requesting an insider. But that's indeed beyond our scope. What we then do is we say, hey, someone is looking or offering, now you figure it out. We can sometimes help. We can engage also. So we can do let's say, an extent from a human perspective. So we can engage with the insider or the threat actor or someone who's selling data. So we can also help our customers there. Say, oh, I have accounts or I have documents or I have credit cards or whatever it is. We can ask for samples. We can say, okay, we can buy the data for you. But from a identifying how valid the source or the data or the insider is, that's up to the customer or...
Hold on, you said we can buy the data.
Yep.
Is that legal?
It's being offered. Someone can buy it. So the idea behind it is, especially when it's about accounts, or it only makes sense to acquire data when you can actually destroy it after the fact or change it so it's no longer useful for the attacker to say, okay, credit card numbers, for example. We buy a truck ton of credit card numbers for our customers. So then, okay, here's a set, no longer valid. So in that respect, they're pretty much buying their own content back.
Got it.
If then some government agency is listening in and we're the buyer, then okay, sure. You can visit us in Israel. Not in The Hague. Any other questions? Usually there's a lot more. All right, cool. Thank you very much.